Prove is different.
AKA Midnight Rabbi.
I'm Midnight Rabbi.
Although it's not
Although
it's not midnight.
Goose.
In Israel it's almost midnight, right?
That's true.
Yeah, he said. Well, half an hour from midnight. Okay. Rabbi Goldsmith has come all the way from Israel to share a bit of knowledge, a bit of wisdom, a bit of his heart. Go for it.
Okay, big shout out to the boys in over here. I'm not going to say the name and all the wonderful stuff, because you know who you are and you know what you're doing, and it's appreciated. It's been a long relationship with this special place, and I had the merit to speak here last few times, and I got to get connected to Pinchas, he's one of the boys here. He even came to my home here and in Israel, so shout out to him for making out the time. Yeah, no, it means a lot when you go somewhere and someone like follows up and wants a connection, because that's what it's all about. So last time I was here, just to catch you up, I spoke about, it was the middle of the war, and I spoke about my oldest son who was fighting for everybody, yeah? And I showed some videos and footage. We're not going to do that this time. I don't mind privately or another time to, if anyone's interested, to see some behind the scenes, what happened in Gaza and Lebanon and Syria, DJI Pro quality footage. It's very powerful when you see it, not through the media's eyes, but through an actual soldier who was in the front lines, and even more powerful when it's someone you know, like my son. Now this time period's been a time period for a lot of soldiers where the war's somewhat quietened down. I mean, unfortunately we're still hearing sad news every so on of soldiers getting killed, and we dedicate our learning to their protection and everyone else's protection. But right now my son's doing something which maybe some of you guys can relate, is he wasn't in schooling in his mid-teenager years, like he had a hard time in the yeshiva system and stuff. And what he could have ended up with was a criminal record and all kinds of things. Somehow he didn't. Miracle of miracles. He did some good things with some of that energy he has, and we can talk about that at some point if he wants me to, or if you want to hear. But he ended up in this program similar to this called Hilla in Israel. I don't know if you know it. And from Hilla he ended up in Haved HaShomer. Haved HaShomer is a really tough, as I said, most of the boys there, they all have criminal records. They're not going to become fighters in the army because they're just not in a stable place. Somehow my son didn't have a criminal record and he became a fighter. But he didn't finish with his schooling. Now in Israel that's a big deal. You want to get a job, you have to at least have 16 years of schooling. It doesn't matter all the grades and all that, it's just at least that much. So right now, that's what he's doing. It's called Mashlim Izlimudim. He's in a place called Mivcha, and that's what he's doing. He's finishing off his schooling. Yeah, and it's hard because he's had 3 years of training, well, a year and a half of training and a year and a half of fighting. And he literally started his fighting as the war began. Like most people, when you begin your shirut as a fighter, you don't go straight into combat. You go to guard, shmira, this, that, hanging around. He literally finished his training and went straight October the 7th into fighting in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria. He saw everything. He was with Shabak. He was with terrorists. I've got pictures I can show you. You can have a real insight to what's been going on from someone your age. And now he's finishing off his schooling. So I'm very proud of him. This is like the update that I didn't talk about because he hadn't got there yet.
How old is he?
He's 20. So he's finishing off his schooling. And that's really hard at his age to go back, and after all the experiences and trauma. Yeah, he's doing Bagrut, and he's literally going for it, and he's getting high marks, he's working hard. Because one thing he came out of the army was discipline. He got a lot of self-discipline. He still has his moments, you know, he's a young man, but he's got a lot of discipline. And that... No, he didn't.
You can't attend if you don't have Islam now. You have to go. When you go to Portugal, you're not allowed to they'll kick you off campus if you're not allowed.
Yeah, so he's at Hilla, he wasn't able to finish off that, and they sent him to Haved HaShomer.
Oh, okay.
So Haved HaShomer, they do take these kind of boys, but most of them become jobniks. He became, 400 something boys, he became Kravi, he became a fighter. And he was Mitzianim, you know, the top. Yeah, he's strong, But he smokes a lot as well, so I don't know how he's so built and drinking and smoking so much, but somehow he pulls it off. Yeah, it works.
Weed?
Huh?
Weed? Cigarettes?
Yeah, that also, yeah. But nevertheless, to get back to his story, is he's finishing off his schooling. So right now, the only reason he's not on the border of Gaza is because his unit that he became brothers with, and he started 3 months earlier because of Havat Shomel, 6 months earlier. They are on the border as we speak, about to go into Gaza. His unit, who is like brothers. He lived with them for a year and a half. You have to understand, in your war, imagine this kind of closeness. You're sleeping with them. Doesn't matter what kind of situation. There's dead people around. There's rats. There's who knows what. You're living in these broken houses in Gaza that you've just cleaned out from terror and from Hamas paraphernalia and who knows what. And you're going to the bathroom with them. You're figuring out how to eat with them. You're guarding each other's life. You bond. And most of the people in his unit are from completely smaller like left-wing families, very influential people in Israel, and they're like higher up kind of people. And the whole way through the war, you could feel their influence on the unit because they did get some hookups. Yeah, but he's like coming from this Haredi, Hasidish, you know, Yerushalayim family. At that time, we moved to Efrat recently, but at that time when he joined the army, we were still living in Yerushalayim by my Rebbe, and it was a big contrast of worlds, and yet they loved him and they all bonded. So now they're on the border about to go in. The only reason he's not going in is because he's finishing off his Limbudim, and he signed out to do that. So that saved him. But the point of the story is that one, I'm very proud of him, as you can hear, and that's one of the reasons I discussed it, so you can have an insight from a parent of someone who went through a year and a half with a son on the front lines, your age, yeah. And as a parent, it was crazy to, you know, when I was your age, I was also, fine, I was maybe in yeshiva by that point, but I chose that life. I chose to be in yeshiva. I wasn't forced into a war. I wasn't forced into any of these situations. I chose that lifestyle. And he was forced in a way, at a certain level, to be in the army and do all this, but he understood that it's for his growth and for his benefit. And he's developed so much. I'm so proud of him. But the point is, what I'm sharing is, for us right now, sitting here in London, is that remember, we're all family as the Jewish people. Yeah, it's not whatever that we've going through this together. And I came on this trip. I'll be honest. Last time I came here, I brought my son. His first trip since he was a baby to London. He hadn't met half of his family from London, so that was important. One, we had dinner with my uncle. My uncle is one of the most famous impresarios in the music business and entertainment. And my uncle does not make time to take me out for dinner, let's be honest. He hasn't done it. He'll send me a happy birthday because we share the same birthdays, March the 4th, yeah? And that's not so hard to forget when it's the same birthday as your nephew. But he didn't take me out for dinner, let's just say, for many years. When my son came, he took us out for dinner. And he sat with him and he asked him questions and he opened up a lot about himself as well, my uncle. He said a lot of things. I learned a lot from that meal. And last time I came, actually, this time before, I brought one of my best friends here. He's another person you can learn a lot from. And they also took my son out. They also came, they took him out for a drive. You were asking about smoking, they took him out for a spliff, actually. Yeah. All my old boys. Yeah, I could show you a picture. I showed it to Pinchas and one other guy of what we looked like in 1997, according to ChatGPT. Yeah, someone recreated that scene of that time when we were all together as teenagers in London. But anyway, I came back this trip a whole different thing because I had to show appreciation for my wife, and that's another part of this whole war. It's not just the soldiers; it's the mother of the soldiers. I won't take so much credit. The father, some fathers maybe can, but my wife, his mother, was totally there for him this whole war. And she was the backbone. And he'll admit it. Gave him the strength to get through everything. So it's very important to have someone in your life you can really depend on in times of challenge, times of difficulty, someone you're close to, and to show them appreciation. He comes back now from the base and he brings them flowers he shows a lot of love to her and appreciation for what she did for him during this war. And my way was to bring her here to London to give her a little vacation. And the divine providence is tonight her family took her out for a meal, so I was able to come here. That's why it's so last minute that I'm here. But the point is, why I'm getting to all these stories is we're all going through crazy stuff. Like technologically, everything's flipped. Like when I first met Ari and Nuki, it was a different challenge then. And we're all facing different level challenges now with the growing anti-Semitism. Even this program has to be careful. Like we're not publicizing the speech about talking about the soldiers and the army and this and that with connection to the program, because there has been some, and this is the kind of thing, sensitivities you didn't have to have back in the day. Like we are in a different world after what's been going. Yeah, but you could call it that, you could call it anti-Semitism, there's a lot of names you can give it. But the point is, we're in a time where we have to be a little bit more with it, what's going on, especially in terms of where you go. Like I was walking around my Sitzis out today in Edgware, and all these Arabs were laughing, but I didn't even see it, honestly. My wife said, all laughing at you. Yeah. Like, and that would never happen back in the day in Edgware. It's a different, there's a tension, there's a vibe going on. And we have to be real with it. I think personally what it enables us to do is become more real with who we are. Like my son has become a different person from this war. Yeah, he's grown up to become like a different level person, and my other children as well. Because when you're in a time of challenge, it pulls out of you something deep. One of my sons, I'll just give another story. I don't know if you guys are into David Goggins. Anyone here? Yeah. So he ordered. This is what he did. This is so impressive, and this I don't know if I can take any credit with some of the conversations I have with him over the years, and because I have a bunch of phones, not kosher. Yeah, I have all iPhones, smartphones. I'm very busy with phones, so I'm not that role model in that way. I mean, I am. I try to use it only for good things, and I talk to them about it, about making sure what your content, what you're taking in, is good for you, is healthy for you. But what did he do? He took his smartphone, sold it, bought himself a very basic phone that just has minimal, and then instead with his money that he sold his phone, he bought tons of books. Like he's got Trump, The Art of the Deal, or like you just go through so many different books. He's got classics and are making big impact in our generation right now. So he bought David Goggins' book, and then he heard there's a marathon, Jerusalem Marathon, and he went and did the whole thing. And I went early in the morning and supported him, cheered him on. And he did the whole marathon, not for a cause. Yeah, the Jerusalem. He's now 17. And there was no one telling him to do it. No friends, no peer pressure. You hear this? He wasn't doing it for a cause. He wasn't doing it because his mummy told him to. He wasn't doing it because he was going to get a nice girl at the end of it, like all the movies, yeah? He wasn't, or whatever they do now. Yeah, he wasn't doing it for any covered honor. He wanted to challenge himself as a young teenager, that he'd find something that was hard for him. And now, let me tell you a schedule. Yeah, this is just to give you some inspiration. Because it's not about always talking about the rabbis, it's talking about us, our people, yeah? So what he did, this guy, if you talk to him, he'd be like one of your boys. I'm telling you, such a good guy. My son. I know it, because I hang out with him. I love him. But listen, what happened, he goes to school like all you guys. And he specifically chose to move from a very pressurized, very controlling Hasidic school where they had to wear all the certain clothing and everything else. And that was the main thing, on and on about the rules of the clothing and this and that. And he chose to put himself in a more open school, still a Haredi school, but where they learn Gemara and stuff, but it gave him access to Bagrut and to give him, so he could get his scholastics and things. He chose. I was like against it initially. I was like, yeah, but this is a very famous school, and the head rabbi is like a celebrity, and he's got contacts, and he loves you, and you're doing so well there. He said, yeah, but there's too much emphasis on controlling my lifestyle. I can't work, get a job while I'm there. I can't do anything other than just this school. It takes over your whole life. So he decided himself, and we in the end backed him, and he went to this school, and he's just finishing his Bagrut like this week, and he's please God, he's going to pass. He's actually going to very high level schooling next through this supposedly lesser school, because it wasn't a room or whatever, but he's going to this very high unit. He's going to do some sort of limudim, and then he's also going to do cybersecurity in the army. He has a whole plan what he wants to do with his life. But while he's doing this schooling, he's also got a full-time job in Gula. I don't know if anyone knows the store Gina. Anyone know Gina? He manages that store. Yeah, in Gula, and he's running this store. And he literally is the managing. He's a young kid, and they give him the whole stash of money every week to go deposit it in the bank. That's how much they trust him there. He's like walking with what? Sometimes 60,000 shekels, 100,000 shekels. These stores they sell. It's like Max stock. I don't know if you have Max stock. Or here would be like I don't know what it'd be the equivalent, but they sell everything.
The general pound store that sells everything.
Yeah, sells everything. So he's running that store, and as well as doing schooling, thank God, to a good level. And then he's finding time at the end of the night, where he gets back 11 o'clock from Jerusalem, or early in the morning, to practice for this marathon, so he could do this marathon. He did the whole thing in it was about, how long? It was 2 hours, I think he did it in. Like a big Jerusalem marathon. It was a big deal. It was like a high up there, like he was like within the 400 of, and this is someone within that schedule, a young teenager, who just chose, no pressure, we didn't get in any magazines, there was no one saying, wow, you're amazing. Just his mum and dad, after the fact, saying, wow, what did you just do? How did you, find time for it? And how did you do so well at it? And this is the kind of thing that I'm saying, that the war and the corona and all the things, all the excuses in the book that you could have, and all the lack of time that this young person has. And one of the things he's done is very careful who he's friends with. His friends asked him the other day, want to come to Cyprus? Yeah? So what are they going to do in Cyprus? Let's be honest. What did they do? They literally woke up 2-3 in the afternoon every day, or maybe even later, went out to eat, went to the beach at the end of the day because the sun, they didn't even get the point of being there because they were, asleep most of the day. And then they went out to some nightclub, and then this cycle. And this is what they did the whole time there. He was offered this trip, and he said no. That's him choosing. I was like, as a parent, one of the things I've learned is it's about letting your kids have space to make the right choices. That's a parent thing. But as a kid, you have a lot of power nowadays. You have a lot of independence. With these phones, you can have a voice. You can do things, influence. There's all kinds of power you have. So he's choosing to be careful with all that stuff and to choose who his friends are wisely, to the point where he's realized a lot of those kind of boys that he grew up with who are doing those kind of things are not really the best friends for him, because he wants to live a life to the max. This is just one of my kids, just a story to get inspiration. I get inspiration from my kids when I think about it. But what the reason, to go back to the days when I used to hang around in the shivas, and things have changed so much. Like, you have to understand, when I was a rabbi in Nir Yaakov, all these places, they had DVDs. That was like, whoo. They'd go out, find a place of Wi-Fi, like some hotspot. It was a different world. They didn't have phones. Just think about it. They had laptops. That's how they accessed everything. And they had a hard drive. You have to understand how quick things have changed. It's not even that long. You're in a room with a bunch of we're not that old, but middle-aged men who have experienced that transition, yeah? And it's pretty powerful to think about what you've got in your hand. Like now, as I said, we've got the chat GPT, and what the next stage is coming with the AI and everything else, it's sped up so quick. So I'm not saying you can't be involved in it, because as I said, my son made some choices to limit its impact on him and to choose how to be more effective with his time and everything else. But it's also a powerful tool to actually accomplish. One of the things in the work world, you're at an age right now where you have the luxury, and my wife said this to one of my other sons. He's managed to get a patur for the army because he was in special ed or whatever. So my wife said to him, you have no one telling you what to do right now in your age of life. He's 19, this son. Very, very Haredi, very into learning. He chose that himself. But my wife said to him, this is the best time. You don't have any system telling you what to do with your time right now. So you can maximize it. You could learn amazing things right now. You could find yourself in the best way because no one's influencing you in a way you don't want. So this is an ideal time of your life where you can really maximize everything to the max with the best path that you could choose yourself. Like, you have a power. A lot of us, like us married guys with loads of kids and all that stuff and responsibilities, we can't just go travel somewhere. We can't just focus, as Ari was saying just before. It's like a big deal if you take a few months to go sit and learn. You guys could do that. You actually have that ability, and it won't mess anybody else up. You have no responsibilities in that way, and that's a gift. Yeah, like these are precious moments right now. What you choose to do, the fact you choose to come to Clubhouse. Oh, sorry, I won't say the name. The fact you choose to come here. Yeah, I don't think they're listening. You choose to come here. That, you know, that's a big deal. Like, you could do many other things, and our time, our generation, the choice is so seemingly endless, but really it's not. Because what I've learned, something powerful, is once you get more self-awareness, the choice actually isn't that difficult. You start to really know deep down where you're meant to be, what you're supposed to do, how much time you're meant to give to this phone, or how much time you're meant to give to your soul, how much time you're meant to give to your family, how much time you're meant to give to a program like this. You know yourself deep down what's important, and you start prioritizing that. That's like real with you. And that's something which, you know, after seeing my son living on the edge of life and death for a year and a half, like literally living on the edge of life and death, and suddenly, no, it's really a pleasure to see you, man, every time. So living life like that, it gives you a different appreciation, and having that in your life. When he comes back for Shabbos and he tells us stories about what he's up to, you know, and what he was up to, and you see the intensity of it, and it makes you start to think different. And when you hear sirens in Israel, like we've been having this whole last few years, you start to think about life different. You start to realize that it's such a gift what you've got, the gift of life, the gift of time, and you can really maximize that gift. And it really is something that each one of you individually have that power. And in the end, all the excuses gone, you know, the parent, the Rebbe, or whatever messed you up or hurt you or you suffer with, at the end of the day, you have that choice. It really comes down to you, and it comes down to me, it comes down to each one of us. I'm making that choice also. I'm trying hard to make that choice, not to get, you know, swallowed up with Netflix addiction or whatever it is that you have your weakness with. Yeah, I'm really trying hard to fight that. Yeah, and I know that by doing that, I'll become a better person. That, you know, my family will see that I've got self-control and I'm self-respect, and it's a different vibe. You're walking around with different self-awareness, and that's something which this experience that we're all going through as a people and individually as well is very profound, very deep. So just to explain a little bit in the Feed the Torah, because, you know, we're going to end off this with a little bit of Torah. I want to tell you something, that this is the time of year, Srias Omer, where you really get to work on yourself in a revealed way. You know, the fact that I ended up being here tonight in the program on a very special night in the sphere of the week of Hod. Hod is the time where you learn how to shine. You learn how to shine. Like Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, he shined in his time, and he shined a light that's so great, the Zohar, all the way till now. A light from within, the light of the soul, the light of the neshama. And that light of the soul is really what's giving you the clarity to make those right choices. And it was revealed by Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and we're a lucky, fortunate generation that we have access to his Torah. You know, for all your parents and parents' generations, their generations before, they didn't have access to Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Balatanya and all these Panemiya Tzaddikim. They didn't have access to the Vilna Gaon's Kabbalah. Yeah, everything was very, very halakhic or rule-based, Talmudic. It wasn't inner. It wasn't panemius. It wasn't the point of the Torah, the relationship aspect. That's something which we are accessing, and we all have access to it. You can even, on your phone right now, just within a second, you go to a Y.Y. Jacobson share, and you're accessing an Odom Panemi, a person who's an inner person. You have access to it. It's easy, and you don't even have to go travel anywhere. You literally have it. It's a gift. And I have my phone set up every day for a certain amount of different podcasts and speakers and emails that are filled with these kind of personalities that inspire me to become more inner, to more attached to what we're here for this generation, start to make sense of the challenges we're going through and give me clarity. And I try to reciprocate that and put that light out also in my own way, because I have my own journey, like I'm doing this right now with you guys. And that is what all of us can do on an individual level. And we shouldn't wait for the other person to do it. because you each have your own story to tell, your own individual experiences. I can't tell your story like you can tell your story. And you know your pain better than anyone else. And you're the only one that can really heal that pain and transform that pain. I was just learning Tanya today, at the end of chapter 33, beautiful parak of chapters. All those parak in those chapters are unbelievable. Talking about loving other Jews and getting chapters. So right at the end, it talks about Sadik L'Menus Chayichya. The whole of Torah stands on one principle, which all of us, I had the merit. I worked with Rav Shalom Morish for 5 years. And I'm very close with one of his students, Nissim Black. I work with Nissim Black. I'm doing a festival when I get back to Israel with Nissim Black. It's in Sfat. I'm promoting that event, and he's speaking there and singing there. And there's going to be Mathiol's son. Thanks, man. Mathiol's son, Levi Miller, is going to be there. And all those kind of people that's coming out on the night of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai's Elula. It's called the One Flame Festival.com. Anyone who wants to buy tickets, I think there's still some left. But anyway, how many people? 1,000 minimum. Yeah, please God. And it's a very good alternative for people to be there. I'm very excited. Levi Miller, I worked hard to get him there, because they were like, whatever. They had their blocks initially, and I was like, no, you got to go. And the rabbi's like, why are you so pushing this artist so much? Because I want him by Reb Shimon. I want him up there. I want him by Nissim Black. I want him to be by this light of Emuna on the night of Lag BaOmer, not in Tel Aviv or wherever else he might be. I want him to be there more than I care about what kind of money and performance and all the business side of it. I want his soul to be up there. If I can have a chance to influence, to bring a little bit more light to the Miller family, Mathiol's family, I'm all in. And that's my part of my purpose, to open up some of the rabbis to be a bit more open to different kinds of souls. Yeah, not just to be with the same kind of thing again and again. That there's something special about these people, even if they're different. And that is part of Reb Shimon's light. Reb Shimon says in the Tanya, based on the Zohar, that the whole purpose we're here is to turn darkness into light. So all of us have that power. All of you do it every day. You wouldn't be getting up in the morning if you weren't turning darkness into light, even if you get up in the morning. Yeah, wherever you get up, turn darkness into light. That's something you need to think about. If you only got one thing from this whole schmooze, turning darkness into light, turning your pain into joy. Transformation is tremendously powerful and impactful, and it's actually the purpose of creation. According to the Baal Tanya, according to Shimon Bar Yochai, it's one of the reasons we were created. It's to make a dwelling for Hashem, to make a dwelling in our home, in our heart, in our phones, everything we're doing, to bring Hashem Shekhinah into our life. That is transformation of this world, darkness and light. And there's never been a bigger darkness as before Mashiach comes. So there's an equally opposite powerful light right in front of us. It's just a matter of us opening ourselves to that light and believing in the power of transformation. Yeah, I grew up in the secular world, like Spitz secular world. I was running nightclubs before I came to Israel. I was proper like player. I was like James Bond was my role model. Yeah, I have even 007 on my hat. Yeah, James Bond was my role model. My family do the merchandise for him. Yeah, so the point is, what I'm getting at is that I experienced that transformation, and I experienced how powerful it is, and I understood that that's part of the Jewish people's journey. Is not everyone growing up in a seemingly perfect religious home. That's not our reality, and that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to have Yeridahs and come to Aliyahs and transform our Yeridahs into Aliyahs, to have downtimes, to have challenges, to have pain, and to face our stuff and not stuff our face, to transform our realities into meaningful experiences. And I feel that about my whole life. I said it to someone the other day. I said, we were at a meal with my friends and my brothers. It's funny because some of my friends now, because of the whole GAN system and the school system, they've become friends with my friends. So it's great. I get to socialize with my friends, and my brothers are there. It's like one extra bonus as you get older in life. So you start to meet your brother in a different way, you know. So, but anyway, we were sitting there, and one of the things that came up was, it's pretty powerful. Like, we realized that our journey, you know, everyone has different ways of feeling about it. I said to them, I have no regrets. I have no regrets. Any choices, anything I went through was all purposeful. Like, one of the blessings I had, I was by a lot of holy people when I was in the Haredi world, in the fullest sense, in Jerusalem. And I was by Rav Simai Zilberberg and the Kalav Rebbe. I made a joke before. My shtreimel came from the Kalav Rebbe. Yeah, I have a shtreimel. I wear it when I'm in a frat. I'm the only shtreimel wearer that living there. Like there are people who visit here and there, but I'm the only person, and I don't mind. I'm my own thing, and I get respect for it, and I've never had pretty much a negative experience because of my Hasidish chaya, the Hasidish choices I've made. But I'm strong enough to know that I can be my own person. I don't have to follow what everyone around me does. I believe in my path, and I feel that that's something which our generation needs to get more confident with. And also what it would do, it would get rid of a lot of the division going on amongst the Jewish people, where everyone feels they have to be in a box or join this group. No, believe in your individual choice. Believe in your ability to be part of a community in a respectful way, but be your own person as well, and not feel you have to be swallowed by the community just to be able to serve Hashem or go to shul, or you have your individual connection. And that's something I work really hard for. So I feel proud about that. And each person's got to find their thing, that's their message to the world. That in itself, every Shabbos, I'm making a message to all the Dati Mizrahi community. I'm reminding them there's a Chassidish world, and that Chassidish world's got love for them, and we've got love for each other, and we're all together really. And it's just an external trip that people have division. The fact, thank God my son went and served, because that broke down a lot of barriers. Because he went and served in the army, and that showed that from a Chassidish family can come a child devoted to YISRAEL, and not saying, excuses, and that was the best thing for him. I have another son who's totally dedicated to learning, and he's not going to the army. And I feel like totally b'shleimus with that. You have to, what I'm trying to get at is you're going to start to realize in your own life and journey, there's so much light, and there's so much teachings, there's so much messages in your own family, your own blood, in your own experiences. And as about tshuva, I love talking about some of those experiences. And I even now got to a point where I can share it with my kids. And my kids were asking me the other day, about the women issue, they're boys. They were asking about, with girls and stuff. I'll be open with them. I'll talk to them. And we can have a chat about that whole sugya, that whole discussion. And it's not always so easy and so natural. Huh?
I heard from Rosh Hashiva that you're not supposed to.
There's different approaches, I know my wife is more like what you're saying. She's like more closed up in that way.
Your past experiences, like Shabbat, those sort of things, how can you talk to them about the experience?
I say, the way, obviously it's always to get to a point where I'm doing it the right way. That's the goal. But the journey to get there isn't simple, and they're going through the challenge, and then they start to resonate and say, you know what? I went to the beach, for example. They went to Tel Aviv. And Abba, or Tati, he calls me Tati, Daddy, I really feel what I saw on the beach is it's a real shame. These girls don't have any self-value the way they dress. And he said that. I never said that to him. He said it to me. But I enabled the conversation by being open for him to be honest with me that he went to Tel Aviv Beach, which in a Haredi home, you shouldn't be going to Tel Aviv. What are you doing? Going to Tel Aviv, there's preachers, yeah? You start, everything's a non-discussion. Instead, you have the discussion, and now you can get to the lesson. And now he knows himself, I don't like going there anymore. And I don't want to go there. And now he's in a place where he's going to choose better, because he got to that understanding himself. It became part of his choice system. That's the point. Anyway, look, I understand there's different approaches. There's lots of approaches, and everyone's got to find their path and their rabbis, and it's all good. But what I'm trying to share is my unique message. I feel has a lot of depth to it, and it will help people just to hear another perspective. We've all been watching Trump recently. Yeah, let's just bring up something that everyone's talking about. He is the ultimate leverage maker, business pusher. He knows how to make changes in the most intense way. And one of the things what he does is he takes you to a whole different way of approaching something that nobody else has done or is doing. Have you noticed? Have you seen him doing that in so many different ways? And there's been no president, no one like this, not that I know of, definitely not in my lifetime. So what it's done, it feels a bit unstable, and it's not like easy for people to deal with. But in a certain sense, it's sort of shaking up the world to actually start to make some real choices and decisions. And that's what we were talking about, this theme, that we're in a time we're being pushed to make real choices, but we have the tools. There's no way in any way that God would put us in a world where we didn't have the tools to deal with it. And where's the tools mostly coming from? One, it's going to come from within, this beautiful soul that God gives us every day. And the kind of Shamahi Tahari, He puts it inside of us, and it has all the wisdom, all the advice, all the knowledge how to deal with today's challenges. Within that neshama that Hashem gives you every day. How are you going to find that? As Ari was saying before, Shabbos, sitting and learning. When you do those things, that gives you access to the soul. When you're praying, when you're doing a session like this, suddenly you have an opportunity to access the soul level. And the soul level's got endless wisdom. Way more than David Goggins could ever imagine. He's impressive in his accomplishments, but the soul level I don't think he has fully. I think that's our mission, the Jewish people. We have to start teaching the world again about the soul. And you guys, you know in a real way that that's what you care more about in a deep way than all the system, the religious system that you were put into. What you really deep down is want the real thing. And the real thing you have within you. It's the soul. Hashem gave you a godly soul within every one of you. You have to. It says very beferish. The whole town is built of this. It's kora beficha. It's right next to you. The clarity, the truth is right inside of you, and that's something which is very important to believe in yourself and have that ability to learn from your own experiences and from your own decision making and your own clarity, and to daven for it and pray for it, and to connect to those who have more clarity. As I said, I make sure my day is filled with those kind of voices in my head. People that are going to elevate my understandings and give me more clarity. And not people going to confuse me, not music that's going to confuse me. I've worked really hard to find good non-Jewish music. It's hard, but there is a little bit. And I've worked very hard to find the musicians in the Jewish world who are really pure and good. Like when I get back from London, I'm not even going to go to my festival that I'm promoting. I'm not even going to go to it because I'm getting back. It's afternoon. I won't have to go up to Sfat straight away after arriving in Ben Gurion at late afternoon. It'll be a balagan. I'll probably get there late anyway. So I made a choice. I'm going to go straight home. And next to my house, Yosef Kaduna's coming round, and he's going to perform there with Shlomo Katz. I don't need to go anywhere. It's 5 minutes from my house. I don't have all the traveling and all the craziness. And I'm happy. I told the people running the show, I'll do everything up to what I need to be. I don't need to be there in person. All my artists will be there on time. They'll have a team person there helping you. Everything will be Masuda. You do not need me there, trust me. It will be Masuda. And I'm so excited that I can enable this beautiful event and know that it's going on up there while I'm experiencing something very practical, comfortable right next to my house. And I can be with Yosef Kaduna. With Yosef Kaduna, people totally underestimate who he is or underrate him because he's not famous, he's not this, he's not that. He's the real deal. He's a real musician. He should be like our gem and jewel of music in our people. He's unbelievable. And we've got other people now. Yeah, we've got other people like that. There's a whole new Jewish music industry of Balit Tshuva. I don't know if you've heard of these guys, Eviata Bonai, or there's this talented new generation of musicians from Balit Tshuva world, people who have got such talent in music, and they've elevated it to a good place. They're an example of transformation. The music industry is a hard place, man. I grew up in it. I know it very well. I met a lot of the famous people that you all know, and they're broken people. Whereas these people are elevated people. Our musicians who are real are elevated. And we have so much light that the world doesn't even know about yet. And all of you in your own way can share it. That's something which, you have the phones, you're all filling around. You have the ability to influence your sphere of influence, to elevate your sphere of people that you're connected with, your platforms, to bring a bit more light there. Now, it might not be what the algorithm wants, but if enough Jewish people would be strong in sharing that light in that way, I believe it would become a strong algorithm. And it would start to make much more waves than it is right now. And our message would start vibrating through the internet. And so then when we share something, we're all together sharing it. And not just, fighting with each other over silly little things. We're doing a ba'achdus. We're unified in our message and to the world about the truth of who we are. That's part of my dream anyway. I'm writing a book called United Souls, how to help people get to a more unified voice of soul. That's something which I believe. It sounds very idealistic, but if Mashiach's going to come, we have to get there eventually. Yeah, we're going to get there somewhere or another. And I do believe part of what's going on right now with you guys here is that the system that has not brought us to that level of ability to transform everything, and it's somewhat falling apart on some level, is because you guys are going to build a truer system, a purer system of truth. You're truth seekers. This generation, why always says it, the generation before Mashiach, one of the reasons we're rejecting the system is because we want the real truth. We want Mashiach's system. We want the real deal. We're not accepting some sort of chetzi religious, whatever, half religious, and the rest of the time I don't really give a, and all that stuff. I'm pretending for the sake of the system. All this like fake stuff. We're going to be a generation of real dedicated Oved Hashem, people who really want the truth and would be most nefesh for it, would self-sacrifice for it. And the example, as I said, is I started off with, just to end off now, is my kids. You know, they've had self-sacrifice. We're happy in this Parsha Zemor, we're Kohanim, so maybe we get a little bit of extra Safta Zishmaya as Kohanim, and we're in Eretz Yisrael, where it sort of builds this kind of reality. But the Tanya said a beautiful thing today, and this you should all take to heart. It says that where is Hashem most going to be revealed? In Chutz La'aretz. It doesn't say in Eretz Yisrael. The Tabbalah Tanya writes, it's the end of Perek 33, go look at it. Yeah, I might show it to some of my more Sioni rabbis over there in the frat. But where's Hashem going to reveal the biggest light? Is those that seem to be furthest away. They're the ones bringing the Dir Tachtona, bringing the Shechina, the Yichud of Hashem to the lowest places. That's the big chizuk. That in the Olam Asiyah, when you have all these narcissists that you see online, like Kanye West and all these Amach and you see them all there saying their BS and their garbage and pouring out their hatred, yeah, Andrew Tate style people, yeah, you're going to come along and you're going to fight in that space and bring out the Shechina, bring out the Yichud of Hashem, the unification of God in such a space, or like the soldiers did in the war in Gaza, in these places of darkness. You can't even imagine how dark those places were for our kids your age, and they were fighting for their people and fighting to keep Judaism, doing Kabbalat Shabbos in Gaza, yeah. My son found Rimonim on Rosh Hashanah in Lebanon. He heard the show for pomegranates. He heard, and I'm not about the grenades, I'm talking about real, he found honey cake that was kosher in Lebanon so they could have honey cake because the army didn't give it. It was a miracle. They had Rosh Hashanah a little bit. They heard the shofar while there was bombs going off all around them. I've got a video, I can show you this video, them watching the shofar blowing while you hear all the bombs in Lebanon. And then in Syria, yeah, he got to stand there with Shabak and get intel and expand the borders and watch the borders of Eretz Yisrael expand, Har Hemon become the full Har Hemon, become part of our land again, and see that whole development as they start to sort of push forward into those spaces to make more of a protection for the people living on the border towns. And then when I was away on Sukkot, and I'm sitting in this family who are displaced, this was just this past Sukkot, I'm sitting with this displaced family, and there'd been a year, almost a year, and it was, by that point, it was how it was been a year, but because it was Sukkot, so that makes sense, 24th, 25th, just under a year. And then we stayed in touch with them. It was only a few months ago they got to go back to their house, so it ended up being about a year and a half, being displaced. And being with these families on Sukkot, and hearing their stories of what they went through from the north, from Kiryat Shmona and all these places. And this is what we have, an opportunity to really choose from a deep place, because it's not stable, it's not easy, and we're choosing from a deep place, and we're elevating those lowest places, because that we still choose God even in those places of difficulty. So I think you get the point. Everyone gets the point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, we should all be well. Everyone here should find their own way, their own unique light, believe in themselves more, believe and realize that no matter how much you manage to believe in yourself, Hashem believes in you infinitely more, and for sure the people working in this program believe in you. They wouldn't be doing this if they didn't. They believe in every one of you, and that's a very reassuring reality. There's always going to be these beautiful shepherds, like it says by the sphere of Hod, this concept of Nahal, like the shepherds, the one who guide us, with Shem Yochai, the Tzaddikim, they guide us. That's what this program is built by. People who are guides of light, guides of transformation, no judgment, just pure connection. It's beautiful, and you should appreciate this gift you have and help other people connect to it in a healthy way, and you yourself realize that whatever pain you went through was all enabling you to be part of the ultimate joy that we'll see. Please God, b'meher v'meinu amen.
Amen.
Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer about anything.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions, anything. Music business, Spurs winning the European Cup because I'm a Spurs fan. United.
No, the real question is who bottled it first?
Who what?
Who bottles it first?
Who? Spurs is more likely, unfortunately. Yeah. But they can still win it anyway.
Given United's form, yeah. You could be 4-0 up 10 minutes to go in.
Yeah, Yosef Kaduna, that's his song. Shilamalas.
Didn't Yosef Kaduna help us with the Clubhouse song about 12 years ago? Harry?
He's about Tshuva. He was from Tel Aviv.
Harry?
And he's a holy Yid now. Who? You and me?
What's the story tomorrow?
We don't say hot dog.
The story is that they're working in this place.
We don't say hot dog. We don't say
They're
Yeah, man.
We don't say
Well, has any of those has any of those musicians come to the program here recently? Like Yosef Kaduna and Listen Black, any of these guys?
Harry, did Yosef Kaduna help us with the first song we ever did on the video with Time Strong More?
No, that was Ari Kunstler.
Ari Kunstler.
He's also a gem.
I jammed with him when he was a student in there, Jake, when he was just a student there. And he was amazing then. He knew how to play. He's a good guy. Really talented. He did a song with Yosef Kaduna. He did it, Kaliata, it's beautiful. He has a song with Yosef Kaduna. Yeah, he's really good.
Kaduna's brilliant.
That's what
You know that song, Shila Mala?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest songs.
When I was a bocher in Yeshiva, we used to have an article in the Hamadiyah every week.
Isn't that song?
Thank you, man. Thank
We used to
you.
have a program, an article in the Hamadiyah called
I'll speak to John. I'll meet him tomorrow, actually.
Victims of Terror.
That was coming tomorrow.
Remember it? Yeah, there was a picture of like terror attacks like, in the background, and a whole article about some family that were attacked in a terror attack.
Really?
And at the end they had a donation thing. It was the old way of doing campaigns. And it was actually a thing. The Rosh Yeshivas basically said you shouldn't read such things on Shabbos. It was quite depressing.
Well,
So I finished an article.
some people get inspired by this
Yes,
stuff.
I finished one article and I was like really like touched because
Yeah.
the kid had been shot at with the parents in the car and he had the worst injury and basically he'd become a bit of a mute. He wouldn't talk
Wow.
because of the trauma.
Well,
But he said that one thing he did do was that when music was played, he would come alive and he would sing along.
yeah. Two at once. Can I get one of these?
Yeah, sure. He would enjoy good concerts and a good sing song. And he would
Sure.
get involved.
Sure.
So I went to Mashiach and I said, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it said that he likes the flute. It was a mistake because it meant recorder, not flute.
Ah.
So I said, can I go round to him? He says,
See you, Charlie.
yeah, I went to his house in Kibbutz.
Wow.
Piskat Kibbutz wasn't around.
Hakohen we go.
Give me the child soloist. I've got a little 12-year-old. He sings unbelievable.
Who's that?
My son.
Really?
12 he sings.
It does come up here and there. Like I had a request the other day in Vienna. They wanted Shulam Lemma. They maybe still might book him because it's for Hanukkah 2026 or end of 2025. So they want Shulam Lemma, but they want a child soloist to sing with him because they saw him do that Million Dreams song online. And the problem is the kid now is older already who did it then. So there's no point bringing him. So if there's someone who could sing along with Shulam Lemma.
I don't have a back to Vienna.
We'll get a song going in the next 2 weeks. Okay?
Anyway, the song that I sang and played to this kid.
So think of a good one, which is
on the flute.
Wow.
And he sang along with me.
Wow.
He hadn't spoken for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I went there twice to him and give it on a Friday afternoon to play a bit of music to him. That was very nice.
That was the biggest song in Israel that time. That was huge.
I remember.
Even like the most secular people were singing it.
He's one of my best mates.
I remember going on a plane with all these secular Israelis were talking about that song, like how much it touched them.
How old was this kid?
Nice, we can do that.
Almost 26.
No, same as him, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So When he got married, he was like, what can I give her? The only thing he wanted as a present was a Yosef Cordona CD.
Wow. What Torah are you learning now? Tomorrow on? Which Torah?
We actually started from Aleph on Monday.
That's why I just tell you, I started out from a Torah Lamed Zion now. I just finished Torah Lamed Zion.
What is it?
So it's the main Nakuda is, I mean, near the end, the main point is what I was talking about, strengthening the soul. How do you strengthen the soul? Through the way the Rabbi Nachman explains it is, he says three zahiris. You have to be careful with a Talmid Chacham, like his someone who's an old Talmid Chacham, broken. Be careful Amaratzim, because it's going to come out from them Talmid Chachamim. That keeps in Tetzorah from Dafka from them. And the third one is the veins of, which is quite hard to understand exactly what that's referring to, but ends up saying about Shkita.
What's it called? Zaftin. Through the veins.
Yeah, he talks about that whole thing of elevating the soul through COVID. By giving COVID, I mean something you guys do anyway, because if you wouldn't be able to teach these guys if you weren't doing it. But you elevate people's COVID, and by bringing out their COVID, that brings out the Torah. Because kavodi, the Torah, my COVID is the Torah. So the way you're going to bring out Torah from Yidden who seem to, have you read is by building them up. And that building them up enables their chelik of Torah from the Amaratzim comes back out. Like I wouldn't be able to learn Torah if people hadn't done it for me. Like I remember one tzaddik, Rav Samet. I went to his house.
What year were you in Osman?
In 1998, and I'd just been learning brochas.
Because I don't know, I came across you the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years ago. I used to get emails from you, from my rabbi.
Oh,
this must be 20 years
you were a Rebbe in. You're a Rebbe in it has been years. So I was giving you an email for some reason, and I wanted to be mechazik the kids there. I ended up speaking in the base a bunch of times for Rabbi Tugendorf organised it when he was involved there.
Do you know what?
So I taught there a few times, but it was hard.
It must be. Did you always have a beard, or was there a problem?
Yeah, always. And I was teaching a Netzach in those times, and Jake and all those kind of yeshivas. I remember emailing you. You even responded a little bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely did. It was going back a long way.
It was tough those years because I was still new to the whole rabbi story, and there was a lot of, they always pressured you, the yeshivas, you have to be a fundraiser.
And that's also the sort of thing, because I think the thing that attracted me to everything you were doing was because, okay, I'm a bit older now, I'm be 47 next
well, I'm 45 now.
Right, but I was very much burning the candle both ends, up at all hours, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the sort of thing I love doing.
Yeah.
As soon as I got involved with anything, I can't fund. The
fundraising, yeah. That's what sort of made it really hard. I tried to be the minhag rabbi. I did it for 5 years, and I had support from the yeshivas. And when they all started going down, like closing because of Madoff or whatever it was at that time, I did manage to survive somewhat, self-funding myself, but it got really difficult.
So you went into
I just went and got a job, honestly.
Music production.
Yeah, and then eventually through the job, I didn't feel like I was really living my purpose, working for corporate and being like a general, just regular employee. Mr. Black started telling me, Ellie, you're not living your purpose, because we talk a lot. He'd say like, you need to scream to Hashem to get you out of this. And I started screaming to Hashem, and then soon after that, I ended up a job in Jerusalem, opposite the recording studio where he was doing all his projects from. And then he came into the job one day and said, Ellie, you got to be my manager. But I literally screamed myself out of that cutlass.
You and I are big fans of one or two of his songs in particular.
There's that one song, Scream. Have you heard that song?
Yeah, I think,
That's a power. The video is powerful.
My problem with rap is you can't hear a bloody thing that's singing.
No, but sometimes they have versions of it where you just say, I won't let go.
Yeah, a million years. I know the guy who wrote that. It's his brother-in-law, Yosef.
Well, listen.
Yeah, he's Jewish. Yeah, amazing story.
Beautiful song.
Yeah.
I get
his wife's
She's a tzaddik. Yeah, the two of them converted together and married sisters.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They're both married to sisters. So
girls,
we do a Shabbaton every year with them.
His girls acting in the Sir Chemet show.
Sure. We did it. In Ramat Beit Shemesh. We did a show.
Dublin Eish Kodesh there in Ramat Beit Shemesh.
A little bit. He's connected to all the Mashbiim sons, like Rabbi and all those guys. All the Mashbiim, like in Breslov, he's close to their children, so they all have shuls there. But anyway, we every year we do a Shabbaton in Ramat Beit Shemesh, in Beit Shemesh in Reishit, and every year. And so his family come, so Brown's family come, my family. It's like the Browns, the Golsers, the Blacks.
he's black and he's brown, and they're both brown and black.
And I've been gold on the tours, like Goldsmith, and then we had Rabbi White, so it was very.
That's hilarious.
You're bringing Rabbi Green and
Except you don't have gold hair or gold skin.
No, but I could do it. I could get those gold, rapper teeth. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'll tell my nephew's going to Rich next year.
It's a good program. Yeah,
great.
Every year we have the Shabbaton, and we do a show as well.
January time, we took Hazma there. It was brilliant.
Yeah, this year was probably one of the best Shabbatons because the energy there is amazing right now. They're packing out the program. Yeah, it's a good place. Yeah, I mean I've done that sort of format of Shabbaton and concert now and Rashit now for 7-8 years now, and just gets better and better.
I'll tell my nephew about it.
Because the rabbis get really into it. They already know us already, so and it's the students are into it. We always have a Shana Bet Kiddush afterwards. The Shana Bet, we have the Kiddush with them, and then we go have a Kiddush with the Shana Bet guys in their dorm, and all the booze and all the herring and the chillin', and it's like, and then we go to the Suda afterwards with everyone else. But they were just rocking songs the whole program. They were like on fire.
It's a rocking place.
Yeah.
Rocking place.
You know one of the balances they have, because they've got good Gashmias there also.
Yeah.